We begin with the International Women's Day celebration, where First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has called on women to uplift and empower one another in the collective pursuit of gender equality and progress. Her call comes as Nigeria joins the global community in celebrating International Women's Day 2025. The First Lady emphasized the crucial role women must play in shaping a more inclusive and equitable society. She also celebrated the strength, resilience, and achievements of Nigerian women across various sectors, recognizing their invaluable contributions to nation building. Similarly, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has congratulated Nigerian women on International Women's Day, highlighting the importance of economic empowerment and inclusion. He acknowledged the invaluable contributions of women to the socio-economic growth and development of the country. However, Kalu noted that despite these significant contributions, women continue to face barriers to political inclusion. To address this challenge, he stressed the need to reserve seats in Parliament through legislative measures, ensuring greater participation of women in Nigerian politics. Now, across the world, International Women's Day celebrates the achievements of women in every sector. Here in Nigeria, we highlight the trailblazers as women who have shattered glass ceilings and paved the way for future generations. From politics to business, science to sports, Nigerian women are making history and redefining success. News Central's Bettina Imedi reports.
Today, we honor the resilience, strength, and accomplishments of women globally, particularly Nigerian women, who continue to break barriers despite the challenges of balancing careers, family, and societal expectations. Whether in boardrooms, on farms, in laboratories, or on sport fields, Nigerian women are proven to be forces to be reckoned with.
Women bring certain capacities and certain strengths to any gathering, and that if they are underrepresented, that gathering is probably operating below its full potential. And because of that, you take an active stance in thinking whenever you are constituting anything or putting together any group to think about the question of gender balance.
Indeed, Nigerian women are making remarkable strides in various fields. Let's start with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the first African and first woman to lead the World Trade Organization, whose leadership continues to inspire millions of young girls striving for greatness. In the tech industry, Oduayo Eweniyi is revolutionizing financial technology, making wealth building more accessible for Nigerians. In science and medicine, the late Dr. Stella Adedevo remains a national hero for her crucial role in curbing the spread of Ebola in Nigeria, a sacrifice that saved thousands of lives.
There needs to first of all be acknowledgement that there is gender disparity in this context in Nigeria, right? We need to look at the socio-economic disparities. The fact that women earn less than men. I know that in the corporate world, there has been some sanity, but there are certain jobs that women won't get.
It's my honor to be presenting
the impact of Nigerian women doesn't stop there. In the creative industry, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie continues to elevate African literature on the global stage. Meanwhile, singers like Tiwa Savage, Ira Star, and Thames are making waves internationally, and in sports, stars such as Asisat Oshoala, Tobi Amusan, and Ezinne Kalu are cementing Nigeria's reputation on the world stage.
When we think about representation, clearly women are underrepresented in our leadership positions, I think probably across all sectors and all industries. And so much more, I think, remains to be done in that regard.
Despite these outstanding achievements, many women still struggle to balance their careers with societal expectations of motherhood and marriage.
There needs to be a lot of reorientation. We need to unlearn a lot of things and learn new things. And this isn't just for the men, even for the women as well. Because if a woman does not know that there should be gender equality, she is not going to teach her son to, believe that there is gender equality. You know what I mean? Women in the 50s.
As we celebrate International Women's Day, let's not only applaud these incredible women, but also work towards an inclusive society, one where gender equality and equity are not just themes, but lived realities. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Bettina Nwili.
So to discuss this significant day of the International Women's Day, we are joined by founder NAF Foundation, Nafisa Atiku. Thank you so much, Madam Nafisa, for joining us.
Hi, thank you. Happy International Women's Day, and I hope you can hear me.
Of course, we can hear you. Of course, you did watch that particular report, and we know that International Women's Day is all about gender balance, equality, support, justice for women. In this part of the world, let's say Nigeria, would you say women are being valued and celebrated enough?
Personally, no, I don't think so. I think we have, gone through a process where we've said, okay, we need to have gender equality. What does gender equality look like? What's the process of awareness? How do we get people to understand really what are the principles of gender equality? And now we are grappling with what I would see as, social norms. The fact that people try to do tokenistic things to commemorate the day or to pay lip service to gender equality. And I think that the theme for this particular IWD 2025, which says accelerate action, is apt, because we know what to do. How do we then accelerate action to be able to see the impact of what we need to see in terms of gender equality? The statistics say that if we continue to go the way we are going, we will, nearest time, we will have comprehensive holistic gender equality in the year 2150. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be alive by that time. I would want to see at least a substantially gender equal world. But we really need to put our money and investment and resources where our mouth is. We can't continue to do the hashtag IWD 2005 or whatever the year is, but the recognizant effects are not showing in our society today. We cannot continue to see young women being beaten up, being killed, women being locked out of political circles or being suspended. I'm sure we know what we're talking about. While we still go out and chant IWD to 2025, women are tired and women are really tired of the rhetoric over and over again. It's time for us to accelerate some action and put some, gas into the pedal.
So what kind of, acceleration would you be clamoring for in terms of probably policy changes that can help accelerate the rights of the woman being upheld?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So first things first, I'm going to start off with the 5 gender bills that were thrown out in the last National Assembly. Now we have a lot of conversations going around the special seats bill, reserving special seats in the National Assembly for women to then take as their own quotas of political power. Those are the kind of conversations we should be talking about, because when we talk about women's inclusion, especially when it comes to politics, there are systemic and institutional issues and processes that cause that kind of exclusion. It's not ordinary. It's intentional. It is creatively put into the system. So those are the kind of how will I put it, efforts and processes that we should be seeing, that we can say that is accelerating action. The second part I'm going to talk about is investing, actually putting resources when it comes to gender equality issues, from when it comes to education to health, to non-profits that are furthering, the aspirations of women, across the African continent and even in Nigeria. These are the kind of tangible investments that we need to be seeing. If we say we want women to occupy, then give them the room to occupy.
Nafisa,
Yes, I can
Oh,
hear
okay,
you.
okay. I thought I actually lost you for a moment there. All right, so let's now look at the interwovenness of gender, race, socioeconomic status in your advocacy work. How do you determine the outcome? What are the things you feel should be changed?
Okay, so basically in my field, we look at those things and we call them intersecting vulnerabilities, where due to either your race or your economic status or your gender, those things intersect to put you in a level of vulnerability in a particular society. So when we talk about, what are the steps we need to take to deal with some of these issues. The first things first is that you can't use a one hammer in terms of one solution to fix all those problems. There needs to be a level of creative thinking, inclusiveness in the solutions in which you are mapping out in terms of the interventions for both women, young women, people living with disabilities, people, who are living a particular economic strata. We need to be creative, we need to be inclusive, and we need to think out of the box. We can't just say, we're taking grinding machine and grinding machine is what we're going to do for everyone. No, those methods and solutions are outdated. We need to think a lot more inclusively and creatively, knowing that our our demographic is intensely diverse. So you think about the persons who don't have access, the people who are living with disabilities, those who are from a particular area in the country which they don't have access to resources. So it really does call for a lot of inclusive, creating and out of the box thinking. And again, matching investment with words, putting your resources where your mouth is.
Yeah, talking about investments, let's look at issues around gender pay gap. What can be done? Not only that, even we're talking about gender pay gap and violence, gender-based violence. What can be done to actually see that women are economically viable, they're part of the decision-making process, and are protected from violence against them?
Wow, that's a really loaded question, right? But when we want to talk about, economic empowerment and gender-based violence and making sure that women are on that table and the whole gender pay conversation, in fact, when it comes to Nigeria, you're even lucky if you know what your other colleague is being paid. That's how the sense of lack of transparency and accountability in also those compensation conversations can be very funny. But women do need to be able to be paid, at the same going rate in terms of their capability, their skills, and their professional qualifications. That goes without being said. Also, when it comes to issues of gender, gender-based violence, how do I put it? It's like a multi-hydra-headed monster that needs to be tackled. And you tackle it by dealing with different things. We all know that the underlying root or the foundation for which of those things, all these things, gender-based violence actions come up, is because of harmful social norms that put women in a lesser power dynamic than men, in society. Like it or not, we all function according to power dynamics. So because of the particular norms and cultures and traditions that we have, we see women, young women, or whoever it is, being put in a lower power dynamic and being more successful to gender-based violence, because it's permissible. Gender-based violence has now been seen as part of our culture, which it shouldn't be. So a critical part is dismantling those those norms. Another critical part is that we have JBB first responders, we have the Dorothy Njamazi Foundation, we have the Miracle Foundation, right, in Lagos, one in Abuja. How are we supporting those shelters to be able to make sure that they're providing the kind of care? Then the third thing I'm going to talk about is deterrence. What are our laws like? Thankfully for the VAP Act, right? But what are our laws like? What are the how is justice accessible to survivors of gender-based violence? And how is that forming a deterrence, right? I like what Titilayo Vivo is doing in Lagos State, right? They are basically bringing, perpetrators to account. But when perpetrators do see that there is a deterrence for their acts in society, they are able to say, you know what, I'm not going to this because I'm going to be thrown in prison for life. Those are different aspects that we need to think about, and also the conversation of economic empowerment. So women wouldn't stay in some marriages or some situations if they had a place to go or they had the financial means to put themselves somewhere else. So it goes down to the whole conversation of education. How are we making sure that women are educated? How do we have access to well-paying jobs? How are we sure that those jobs are in themselves well-paying? Right. So these are conversations that need to happen with public and private stakeholders, in every retrospect. But it is a very huge problem, hydra-headed problem that we need different, solutions to tackle it.
And we hope that advocates, of course, we hope that advocates will be able to bring all these solutions to bear to advance the cause of women, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa and all over the world. Nafisa Atiku, founder, NAV Foundation, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Happy IWD, everyone.
Of course. Thank you. We'll go on a short break on the news. When we return, federal government reassigns IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu's case to new judge. We'll tell you more when we return, of course. Just stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, the 6-month suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has sparked mixed reactions across Nigeria. While some Nigerians believe the suspension was justified, others argue that it is timing. That looking at the timing, coming after a sexual harassment allegations against the Senate President, Council Akpabio, it raises concerns of foul play. Some insist that Akpoti-Uduaghan's refusal to comply with Senate rules warranted disciplinary action. However, others contend that her suspension undermines her allegations against the Senate President. The Central Sagir Ibrahim, who has been following the story from the start, took to the streets of Abuja to gather public opinion on the matter. Here is what he found.
Yes, to me, I think she ought to be suspended. And then I'm actually surprised that a senator should come to the public to say that at her level for sexual harassment.
Her suspension, my brother, to me, it wasn't, it's right, but it wasn't the right process. Because if you are being like Natasha accused Akpabio of harassing her sexually, the right thing to do for fairness and equity is for Akpabio to step aside. The Senate should carry out proper investigation independent of Akpabio or Natasha. Then if they found out the accusations were wrong, I mean, Natasha should be punished.
Every institution have a rules. When you go against the rule, you face the penalty. So that is what happened to Natasha. It does not. The problem she has is that it does not study the rules. It comes to the Senate by court injunction. It has not been it does not have orientation how senator behaves in plenary.
This is not the issue that you can say this one has truth or this one has. The issue has to be investigated. So after the investigation, that's when we know our stand. But here, we don't know the truth. He is denying the fact. She's insisting on the fact that he did the thing. But I'm with the opinion for him to withdraw, maybe from his Senate President, maybe till the investigation end.
First and foremost, she erred by going to the public against the Senate of Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are not talking about Akpabio now. We are talking about the red chambers. Anybody could be there tomorrow, but not for you to drag the name of the red chambers to the mud. So I mean, she got what she wanted. I mean, the suspension and no salary, withdrawal of all the aids and all that.
When you are in a public office, you should be able to know that people are looking at you. Everybody sometimes the reaction to some issues is quite different. So her own reaction is just that it's not too good enough as a senator.
When you look at it, both of them have a mistakes, in the sense that she was having an opinion. She brought her problem. She tabled the problem in the Senate. He refused to give her the chance. She appealed more than how many times he refused to give her the chance. And the other way around, you don't know what's caused in between them that she refused to give her the chance. She have to use that one to fight for her right. It's her right she was fighting. But in between the both of them, they should come out and say exactly what is in between both of them.
Away from that, now the Federal High Court in Abuja has reassigned the terrorism trial of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, to a new judge. This decision follows a request from Kanu's legal team for Justice Binta Nyako to recuse herself, citing concerns over a fair trial. Kanu's lawyer, Aloy Ejimakor, confirmed that the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Tsoho, reassigned the case after intervention from the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun. Kanu's legal team expressed gratitude to the Chief Justice for her swift action and reaffirmed that Kanu is prepared to stand trial while maintaining his innocence. The case, which has been ongoing since 2021, involves a 7-count terrorism charge brought by the federal government. Away from that, President Bola Tinubu has appointed former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Tahiru Jega, as special advisor and coordinator of the Presidential Livestock Reform Initiative. The president announced the appointment on Friday, expressing confidence that Jega's expertise will help drive meaningful progress in the livestock sector and further strengthen national development efforts. Jega, a former vice-chancellor of Bayero University, co-chaired the Presidential Livestock Committee alongside Tinubu. The committee delivered comprehensive recommendations aimed at implementing sustainable livestock reforms. Jega is also a member of the International Elections Advisory Council and serves as the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council of Sadatu Rimi University of Education in Kano State. To security matters now, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, has reaffirmed military commitment to Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger despite their withdrawal from ECOWAS. The defense chief stated this in Abuja while receiving a delegation from the Sahelian think tank and Alliance del Sahel, led by counter-terrorism expert Aliyu Gebi. The visit, according to the defense chief, is part of the think tank's efforts to study Nigeria's non-kinetic approach to counter-terrorism and the success of the nation's Operation Safe Corridor. General Musa noted that insecurity challenges in the Sahel directly impact Nigeria and called for regional collaboration to combat terrorism. Members of the Sahelian delegation threw their weight behind the defense chief, saying that there is a need for a united front against insecurity.
But sometimes now we are engaged into informal duties with the support of some partners to share the experiences of the Lake Basin and the Sahel region in the fight against terrorism. It is known to all that terrorism cannot be fought without harmonization of efforts. That is why during our previous meetings, it proposed us a non-kinetic approach that has been applied in Nigeria and which has produced successes. So the idea of coming to see on the ground how this success has been achieved.
It became clear the need for us to understand what each other is doing so that we can face the same adversary the same way. It was jointly concluded, as led by General Simpore, for the need for us to have another follow-up discussion, at which point it was decided conclusively by all the delegates that there is a need for a lessons learning visit to Nigeria with a wider team.
The kinetic and the non-kinetic must go hand in hand, but the kinetic only provides 30% of the solution. The non-kinetic is basic. We must be able to have good governance within our countries, fairness, justice, equity. Last year, I had the privilege of visiting Niger Republic, and I met with the Chief of Defense Staff. We were warmly received. Now we want to extend such to Burkina Faso, to Mali, all to show unity, that we need each other for us to succeed. And I'm glad that they were here, and this shows that we are one body, we are one family, and we will continue to work together.
Still on security matters, the Defense Headquarters has confirmed the elimination of 92 terrorists, arrest of 111 suspected insurgents, and subsequent rescue of 75 kidnapped hostages in military operations conducted across the country within the past 1 week. The Director of the Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcus Kange, made this known during a media briefing in Abuja. He noted that troops recovered 117 assaulted weapons and 2,939 rounds of ammunition during various operations. He added that troops cracked down on oil theft, seizing thousands of liters of stolen crude oil and illegally refined automotive gas oil, as well as thousands of liters of PMS in the South-South region.
21 terrorists comprising 11 male adults, 39 female adults, and 51 children surrendered to troops within the theater of operation. One of the terrorists surrendered with one AK-47 rifle and several rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition. Over 25 terrorists were neutralized, including a terrorist commander known as Aloy Ejimakor of Alafa. 14 others were apprehended, while 7 kidnapped hostages were also rescued. They also recovered 22,278 rounds of assorted 7.62mm ammunition, 26 live cartridges, 64 rounds of 9mm ammunition, 18 magazines, as well as other 18 assorted arms.
And away from security-related stories to restoring Nigeria's ecosystem, thousands of families, particularly displaced persons, rely on cutting down trees to sell firewood and charcoal, despite the long-term consequences of deforestation. For many families in conflict-affected northeastern Nigeria, survival takes precedence over environmental concerns like climate change. News Central's Morokarawa examines the impact of large-scale deforestation and the importance of reforestation.
One of the lasting consequences of war is environmental degradation. Finding a single tree in many affected areas is now a challenge. Security forces often clear trees to improve visibility against enemy, while survivors of war cut down trees for firewood to meet their basic needs.
Bawo ma kowanne mota da mota dari ma samari wannan 15-20 ma bawo ma mutum da in ce 1000 ko kuma 800 samari wannan kullum sai sun fita.
Baranzu bana umara zulum perfeso shango donguna isu bulok soka andero diriza kalza get soka dai ka ne batsin ba na da tsoron galar wazana.
Flooding remains one of the most devastating consequences of climate change, with severe impacts on children, forcing many to miss school when disasters strike.
Policies should be made that if a tree is cut down, 10 trees need to be planted in order to replace that one tree that has been cut down. And if a tree has to be cut down, it shouldn't be cut down directly from the roots. It should be at least shedded off, at least so that it will grow a little bit better.
Climate change would destroy us if we refuse to act now. And when we make an imagination with regards to how paradise is described to us, paradise would not be paradise without making the mention of gardens. And where are gardens? You will see lush trees. So when we talk about climate change and the solutions that we will proffer, people speak about planting trees. Trees are not just to protect us from the climate, are not just to serve as windbreaks, but trees are comforting to the soul.
A major challenge is that thousands of families now see firewood and charcoal as necessities rather than problems. Although efforts are being made to promote alternatives like briquettes, experts argue that such measures are insufficient.
Education is key, creation of awareness and enforcement of existing law. We have all this law in place. The problem is enforcement and implementation.
We are going to restore all the green zone in Borno State, that's one. Two, we are going to train people on climate smart agriculture in order to complement the depleted agricultural production that happened 2024 as a result of devastating flooding. And that we also intend to provide a source of livelihood for people, because an idle man is a devil workshop.
Recent changes in rainfall patterns in Borno State have led some communities to resort to prayers for rain, but experts stress that planting more trees is a crucial solution.
Desertification is a major threat to communities in the Lake Chad region, as it is causing the loss of fertile land and the displacement of communities. Hence, experts advocate sustainable planting of the trees for better and protected environment.
In Maiduguri for News Central, Umori Kirawa.
In a related development, a global budgeting and transparency organization, the International Budget Partnership, says it has launched a new strategy to support Nigeria's federal government and its long-term drive for transformative reforms in the agriculture sector, particularly for smallholder women farmers. Speaking at the launch in Nigeria's federal capital, Abuja, the country manager of IBP Nigeria, Yinka Babalola, says that Nigeria needs more beyond a temporary budget increases in agriculture that can be reversed by future governments. Our correspondent, Joshua Imarai, reports.
At a time when Nigeria is undergoing various fiscal and monetary reforms, critical issues such as gender policy in agriculture and public resource governance have taken center stage.
We are a learning organization, and we soon realized that to ensure people get the services they pay for through taxes, levies, and fees, we need to consider the public resource governance system in its entirety. And so this means that we should move away from the traditional PFM system to consider all stakeholders required to deliver services to Nigerian citizens end to end.
The country director of pro-transparency organization, the International Budget Partnership Nigeria, is calling on government at all levels to pursue sustainable reforms for equitable resource assets beyond annual and temporary budget increase.
So we're adopting what we call a systems change strategy, which is changing the whole system, also using gender as well, and what we call intersectionality, which looks at people with disabilities, maybe single women, people that belong to minority ethnic groups, also elevating their needs and their desires and ensuring that the system works for them and delivers services for them.
Nigeria's Minister for Budget and Economic Planning, who was also at the event, also emphasized the need for public budgeting to tackle inequitable resource distribution and recovery challenges.
There is an increasing need for public budgeting to recognize that challenge and to ensure that more attention is being paid such that budgets are catalytic to mobilizing more resources and ensuring that the gender imbalance is de-risked by the way money is spent and allocated.
Other stakeholders also weighed in on IBP's new strategies launch.
The event came at a very right time where the findings from this research can be used to push for advocacy in ensuring that there is equitable collection of taxes and that taxes, especially from women in the informal sector, are being collected based on their income and are being assessed against other criteria, such as balancing household responsibility, unpaid care work, amongst others.
Agricultural stakeholders here say that for Nigeria to achieve transformational change in equitable resource distribution, it must pursue solutions that ensure federal allocation of public resources. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imanai.
We now talk about revenue generation. The chairman of Plateau State Internal Revenue Service, Pam Wayas, has advocated the total overhaul of the tax payment system in the state so as to encourage development. This is as Wayas tasked residents of the state on the importance and benefits of prompt tax payments. Chizabayomwe was there for News Central and our reports.
Tax evasion, non-regulation of immigrant activities, and illegal mining activities, among others, are some of the challenges identified by the Plateau State Internal Revenue Service in generating enough funds in the state. Chairman of the Revenue Agency believes that all the stakeholders need to contribute their quota responsibly and diligently too.
We have to formalize this sector. We have to regularize this sector, and we have to also bring them to the tax net. And if you agree with me, there's a huge inflow of foreign nationals into the state. And let me tell you the truth. I wrote to the Nigerian Immigration Services that I need an expatriate quotas. Do you know that most of the people, let's not cast the horse before the time, but most of them are not properly even registered. Our tax system needs to be overhauled. And then our taxing individuals need to be willing taxpayers.
Similarly, Mr. Waya says fake documentation of residents, inadequate data gathering, and financial transactions negate effective tax system in Plateau State.
I'll just touch only the commercial property. Nobody have even talked about private properties, that's private dwellings. But yet, we have known how much money have come in. The preliminary things that we have done so far have even exposed that you could see an individual that have over 50 properties. And this person had never paid tax, or the highest he had ever paid to the Internal Revenue Service is 1.5 million. Plateau State is a very law abiding state. It's a place that we allowed everybody to come and strive, but play to the rules.
He noted that once these challenges are overcome, all taxpayers will begin to enjoy the dividends of their taxes, to be seen in road reconstruction as well as other social amenities. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyui.
Now we tell you that a lawyer representing former Guinean Prime Minister Ibrahim Fofana, who has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for embezzlement, insists his client is innocent of all charges. A Guinean court convicted Fofana of embezzlement of public funds, illicit enrichment and corruption. Fofana, who has been in custody since April 2022, served as Prime Minister under civilian President Alpha Conde from May 2018 until the military ousted Conde in a September 2021 coup. The Special Court for Financial Crimes, established by Guinea's military rulers, found him guilty and imposed a fine of 2 million Guinean francs along with 18 billion Guinean francs in damages and interest.
Alors, cette intervention doit être considérée comme la réplique à celle qu'a jugé nécessaire de faire Monsieur le procureur spécial auprès de la CRIEF, qui, aussitôt après le prononcé de la décision, a estimé faire une sortie dans la presse pour commenter cette décision. J'ai retenu personnellement qu'il a regretté le fait que ce ne soit que 5 ans d'après les termes qui soient prononcés contre notre client. Ce qui me fait penser que si la Guinée disposait du dispositif de la guillotine, Monsieur le procureur spécial n'aurait pas hésité un seul instant à envoyer Monsieur Kassori Fofana à cette machine de destruction vitale.
When I tell you that the Democratic Republic of Congo has announced a $5 million reward for information leading to the arrest of key leaders of the M23 rebel group. According to the Minister of Justice, the reward applies to anyone who provides information that results in the capture of Corneille Nangaa, Bertrand Bisimwa, and Sultani Makenga. The three were convicted in absentia and sentenced to death in August 2024. The M23 rebels, backed by Rwandan forces, have taken control of several areas in eastern DRC, including the provincial capitals of Goma and Bukavu. In addition to the reward for their leaders, authorities are also offering a $4 million bounty for information on their accomplices. Now, Nigeria's Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, Annatu Musawa, has emphasized the need for intentional efforts to educate and empower women, ensuring their financial independence. Speaking at the 2025 Ring the Bell for Gender Equality Symposium and closing gong ceremony in Lagos, she underscored the importance of inclusive policies that create economic opportunities for women. News Central's business correspondent, Perpetua Fasami Peter, reports.
As part of the global commemoration of International Women's Day, the Nigerian Exchange Group and Central Securities Clearance System hosted the 2025 Ring the Bell for Gender Equality event in Lagos, Nigeria.
An inclusive economy is a thriving economy. A diverse boardroom is a stronger boardroom, and an empowered woman is a catalyst for national prosperity.
I'd like to appreciate the men that have come to support the women. But more importantly, as women, you must pull one, lift as much as you can.
Women just don't even have access.
Delivering the keynote address, Minister Annatu Musawa called for collective action to bridge the financial and educational gaps that hinder women's progress.
This lack of financial inclusion and educational inclusion prevents female-led businesses from scaling and contributing more significantly to economic growth. Overcoming these barriers requires deliberate effort from government, businesses, and society at large.
The ceremony's highlight was the symbolic ringing of the closing gong, reinforcing the commitment to gender equality in the financial and corporate sectors.
What I try to do now is honestly teach as many women and as many people as possible that your business is you need to see more than what is just in front of you. You need to think global. A lot of the time they invest in less risky assets, which is why to a large extent you see less women playing actively in the capital market.
I would say to everyone in this room, invest in women. The woman mentioned that we like to save. As women, we don't want to take too much risk. But for us to close that 152-year gap that my colleague mentioned, we need to put our capital to work.
The Ring the Bell for Gender Equality campaign is an initiative led by the World Federation of Exchanges in collaboration with central counterparty clearinghouses worldwide. Now in its 11th year, the campaign promotes workplace diversity and inclusion while advocating for women's rights and economic empowerment. The theme for 2025 is Ring the Bell for All Women and Girls, Rights, Equality, Empowerment. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Perpetua Fasome Peter.
In sports, the federal government of Nigeria has praised ECOWAS as it officially opened the 13th ECOWAS African Wrestling Tournament, marking the regional body's 50th anniversary. At the ceremony in Abuja's Moshood Abiola National Stadium, National Sports Commission Chairman Malam Shehu Diko highlighted President Bola Tinubu's commitment to sports as a tool for unity and economic growth. He emphasized traditional wrestling as a vital cultural heritage, symbolizing resilience and discipline. Director General Bukola Olokbade reaffirmed the president's dedication to regional solidarity through sports. Ambassador Francis Chus Njogwani described the tournament as a means to promote intercultural exchange and combat extremism. The event brings wrestlers from across ECOWAS, strengthening cultural ties and fostering regional cooperation through competition and sportsmanship.
National Sports Commission, I, on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, therefore, officially declare the 13th ECOWAS African Wrestling Tournament open. I wish all participants the best of luck and encourage everyone to enjoy the beauty of our rich sporting heritage.
We also tell you that the President's Federation Cup has reached the round of 64 with 17 Nigeria Premier Football League clubs still in contention. However, Remo Stars, Niger Tornadoes and Katsina United are absent from the competition. The Nigerian National League dominates with 23 teams, while the remaining 24 clubs are feeder teams or from lower divisions. With no seeding system in place, top-tier clubs could eliminate each other early, allowing lower-ranked teams to advance. This format could impact the competition's appeal. The women's tournament is at the round of 32, with strong contenders like Rivers Angels, Edo Queens and Delta Queens still in the race. The battle for national glory continues. Now, Jakub Ingebrigtsen clinched his 6th European indoor gold, dominating the 1,500-meter final in Apeldoorn. The Norwegian star, a three-time European outdoor 1,500-meter champion and reigning Olympic 5,000-meter gold medalist, surged ahead early, stringing out the field and forcing Germany's Robert Falcon into a fall, cruising to victory in 3 hours, 36 minutes, 56 seconds. Ingebrigtsen secured his 22nd European title across indoor, outdoor and cross-country events. France's Azzedine Habs and Portugal's Isaac Nadar took silver and bronze. The 24-year-old now eyes a third consecutive double gold, returning for the 3,000-meter heats on Saturday and the final on Sunday. Confident in his strategy, he emphasized the importance of preparation and execution as he continues his bid for another historic achievement. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, we'll look at our top stories again. Nigeria has joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Women's Day. Federal government has reassigned IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu's case to a new judge. We also told you that DR Congo has announced a $5 million reward for information leading to arrest of key leaders of M23 rebel group. Or you can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV, where you can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.